Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to go behind the scenes today, peel back the curtain on these huge, invisible systems that pretty much run our world, all starting with a single online purchase. I mean, it seems so simple, right? You just click a button. But that one little click, it's like flipping a giant switch on this massive, invisible machine that literally stretches across the entire globe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to follow that click on its digital journey. We'll see how data acts as its tour guide, what it takes to keep this whole engine humming, and even look at the constant threats it's up against. And by the end, you'll really get a sense of the sheer scale of this global machine. All right, so let's get right into it. The second you hit confirm purchase, your order doesn't just, pop up on a screen in a warehouse. Nope. It gets pulled into this enormous digital ecosystem, this incredibly complex web of technology that's responsible for coordinating everything that happens next. So here's the big picture. You've got the buy side over here, that's all the suppliers, and then the sell side over there, that's us, the customers. And the magic is what happens in between. You've got this whole network of middlemen and different business departments, and they're all being directed, like an orchestra, by some seriously powerful enterprise software running on a company's private network or intranet. Okay, so your order's in the system, but hang on. Before it goes anywhere, the system has to ask two really, really important security questions. First, who are you? And second, what are you actually allowed to do here? So that first question leads us to authentication. And the best way to think about this is like the bouncer at a club. Yeah, really. It's checking your digital ID, your login and password, to prove you are who you say you are. It's that first crucial checkpoint that decides who even gets past the velvet rope and into the application. But just getting in the door isn't enough, right? That's where authorization comes in. Now that the system knows who you are, it has to figure out what permissions you have. What are you allowed to do? Are you a regular customer just trying to place an order? Or maybe you're a customer service agent who needs to look up orders for other people. Big difference. So here's the bottom line, the thing to remember. Authentication, that's the key to the front door. It just gets you inside. But authorization, that decides which rooms you can actually go into once you're inside. And you absolutely need both to keep the whole operation secure and running the way it's supposed to. All right, so once all those digital handshakes are done, your order starts its physical journey. This whole process is called order fulfillment. It starts when your item gets picked from a supplier's shelf. Then it's sent to a warehouse or a fulfillment center to be processed and packed up. And finally, it makes that last mile delivery run from a local hub straight to your doorstep. And the crazy part? Every single one of those physical steps is being meticulously tracked in the digital world. So you gotta wonder, right? How on earth does a company manage millions of these journeys, all happening at the same time? Well, the answer is simple: data. To get a handle on this mind-boggling complexity, they have to measure everything. I mean, everything. And they do that using something called key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. Think of KPIs as the vital signs of the business, like its pulse, its blood pressure. They're these specific, measurable numbers that track things like, say, sales growth, or how many people who visit the site actually buy something. They're the scoreboard that tells a company if it's winning or losing. And this data, it gives them these incredible insights into how we, the customers, behave. Take this chart, for instance. It's from a study on the e-commerce market in Vietnam. And look at this. Almost 60% of shoppers are spending in a pretty specific range per order. Now, for a business, that kind of detailed data isn't just useful, it's absolute gold. It drives everything from marketing campaigns to strategic planning. So to actually use all this data, businesses have a whole toolbox of different methods because you need the right tool for the right job. If they need a live play-by-play of an order, they use something called event sourcing. It's like watching a live feed. For the big picture view, they'll pull down huge, stable chunks of data for, say, a monthly report. If a customer service agent needs one tiny piece of info, like right now, they'll use something called an API to just grab it from the database. And for the managers who need to see the health of the whole system at a glance, they've got visual dashboards and reports. See, each one gives them a different window into that same complex machine. But here's the thing. These giant software systems, They're not like a building that you just construct and then walk away from. No way. They're more like living organisms. They're constantly being tweaked, updated, patched, and fixed just to keep the whole engine of commerce from grinding to a halt. I mean, just look at this. This is a real bug fix note from one of these big IBM systems. It's super dense, super technical, right? Something about an illegal argument exception. I mean, what does that even mean? It's basically about a tiny error that happens when the system tries to update its inventory. This right here, this is one tiny microscopic gear in a truly gigantic machine. So, what that gobbledygook really means is that a team of digital mechanics found a tiny little hiccup in the engine's code, and they fixed it. They fine-tuned it. And this kind of constant preventative maintenance is what stops a small glitch from snowballing into a massive system crash that could bring thousands of orders to a dead stop. And this isn't a once-in-a-while thing. This maintenance happens in a relentless, non-stop cycle. You can see it right here on this timeline. They push out these fix packs, which are just bundles of dozens of these little improvements, multiple times a year. It's a constant race to keep the system secure, efficient, and always getting better. But, there's a dark side to all this incredible complexity. Every single connection, every byte of data, every line of code, it's also a potential doorway for an attacker. It makes this entire engine a huge, juicy target for cyber attacks. So yeah, it's not just complex, it's under constant, serious threat. Now, this string of letters and numbers might look familiar to some of you. This is the official name for the infamous Log4j vulnerability. You might have heard of it as Log4Shell. It was this massive, critical security flaw found back in 2021 that sent shockwaves through the entire tech world. It affected millions of systems, including the exact kind of enterprise software that we've been talking about. And make no mistake, this was not a minor bug. Government agencies like CISA had to issue emergency warnings about it. And as they said right here, this vulnerability was so critical because it could let a remote attacker execute arbitrary code. Now, in plain English, that means giving them the keys to the kingdom, letting them take complete control of the system from anywhere in the world. So let's step back for a second. When you put all these pieces together, you've got the security checks, the flood of data, the actual physical trucks and planes, the nonstop maintenance, and the constant threat of cyber attacks. When you see it all laid out, you really start to appreciate the true scale of this massive, unseen global machine. And the software that makes all this happen? It comes from companies you may not think about every day, but they are the true hidden champions of the global economy. We're talking about giants like SAP and IBM. They're the ones building these incredible enterprise resource planning systems, the ERPs, that act as the engines for basically everything a big business does, from finance and logistics all the way to managing customer relationship. And in the end, every single piece of this ridiculously complex puzzle, all that code, all the data crunching, all the security patches, the server farms humming away, it's all designed to lead to one single, simple, and satisfying moment. That package landing on your doorstep. But all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. As these digital engines get more and more powerful, more automated, more complex than any one person can possibly understand, who's really in control? Is it the business that thinks it's setting the rules? Is it us, the customers, making the choices? Or is it the code itself, quietly and invisibly running the world? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for joining us.